right, this is an adversary hearing. Have the parties identify.
Deidre Ward with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, present on behalf of the department. I'm present with Chrissy Meeker and Melissa Speed here in the courtroom with me. We're present and ready.
Carrie Morganson for the mother, Mercedes Cifuentes, who is present in the courtroom. We are present and ready.
Matt Morrow, attorney for the respondent, respondent father, alleged father, Christopher Ramirez, present and ready.
Jared Miller, attorney ad litem for the children.
Okay, what is the status of service on the parents?
I don't have personal. I've served Mr. Ramirez application, the alleged father, Mr. Cifuentes, and Ms. Cifuentes' personal service has not made it back to the court file yet, but I can give everybody notice of appearance.
Okay. Ms. Morrison, is your client contesting temporary managing conservatorship to the department today?
Yes, Your Honor, we have issues that we would like to raise with the court. One of them being we are contesting temporary managing conservatorship. And then if the court were to grant temporary managing conservatorship to the department, we have requested a home study on a paternal aunt. And we believe that, well, we haven't had an opportunity to review that home study, but I'm trying to preserve that as well.
Mr. Morrow, are either one of your clients contesting temporary managing conservatorship to the department?
Your Honor, I have not had contact. The only contact I've had is with Mr. Cifuentes, who says he is not the father and is wanting a DNA test, but I've not had contact with the other father.
Okay, I'm going to discharge you at this time for Mr. Ramirez, and I will, pending this hearing, if the court determines that the department is going to be the temporary managing conservator, I will order for a paternity test on Mr. Cifuentes. Mr. Morrow, is there anything else that you need to take up with the court today?
No, Your Honor, I'll be excused.
Okay, you're free to go, Mr. Morrow. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ward, you want to call your first witness?
Chrissy Meeker.
All right, Ms. Ward.
Chrissy, can you tell me how you're employed?
I'm a family-based safety services worker for CPS.
How long have you been with family-based safety services?
A year and a half.
And did you have a chance to meet with Mercedes Cifuentes and her children with regard to your job?
Yes.
When was the first time you met Mercedes?
The first time I met with her face-to-face was on November 1st of this year.
And what was the purpose of that November 1st, 2023, right?
Correct, 2023.
What was the purpose of that November 1st meeting with her?
I met with her in regards to drug testing results.
And did she make any statements with you about her drug use that day?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She denied any drug use.
What did you ask her to do after that conversation?
I asked her to submit to another drug test and asked her to consider inpatient treatment.
And did either of those things happen?
Yes, she did submit to a drug test.
And did you have another conversation with her ever after that second drug test?
Yes, I had some conversations with her after that.
And what did you talk to her about that day?
We discussed her considering inpatient treatment. There were conversations after that regarding continuing to submit to her drug testing and continuing to work her services with the department.
And when you say work services, what type of program was Mercedes working while?
Mercedes was working with St. Francis with their Texas Family First program. And also, okay.
Describe to me what Texas Family First helps with.
Texas Family First is an intensive program that goes into the home multiple times a week, about 4 hours every week, to work with parents to resolve any child safety issues in a more intense way and provide support to the family and the children within their home.
And how does your role as a family-based worker work while someone's working that intensive Texas Family First program?
There are some services that Texas Family First can't offer to families, and so family-based supplements the TFF program with any additional services that they may need. And we are also in the home and in contact with the families and with the children to ensure the ongoing safety of the children.
And I want to talk a little bit, what are some of those services that Family Base had to provide for Ms. Cifuentes and her family that TFF didn't?
The biggest thing was counseling for Mercedes to address her substance use.
Set her up with for counseling.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Who was her counselor that you got her set up with?
Richard Gatlin.
And I want to talk a little bit that Mercedes for TFF or that Texas Family First to work. What is the living situation have to be for families in that program?
Parents and children have to be residing together.
Did you work with Mercedes to find a location for her and her children to live to be able to participate in that program?
During the investigation stage, yes, that was arranged.
And where was Mercedes living?
With her mother, Maria Moreno, in Brownfield.
Did you put into consideration the fact that Mercedes was living in Brownfield when you set up services for her?
Yes.
And tell me some of the considerations you gave to Mercedes to have her be able to live in Brownfield but work these services.
She was set up virtually with her counseling to be able to do that from home. And in regards to drug testing, we did offer and provide transportation.
And since she is in Brownfield, were you the worker that would go out each and every month to help the Family Base?
No.
Who was that?
At the beginning of the case, Brianna Baldwin was assigned. Shortly after that, Diana Hopkins was assigned for a good majority of the case. And after she passed, it was assigned to Gia Hamilton.
And you mentioned that Diana passed unexpected death. Is that right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Miss Hopkins' death was unexpected. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
But she had the case for a majority of her contacts in Brownfield. Is that right?
That's correct.
Where were court hearings held for this particular case?
They were held over Zoom.
And were you the worker that was required to present the reports and tell the court what was going on?
Yes.
Initially, did Mercedes get involved and have some good participation at first?
Yes.
And what were the concerns? How long did Mercedes work with Texas Family First and Family Base?
She was very consistent with the Texas Family First. There were a couple sessions she missed and around October that she did make up. But she was very consistent with that when it was ordered in August of 2023.
Was there a time period where you saw her participation kind of dwindle a little bit?
In regards to counseling, yes.
What was that time period?
The end of October, and the month of November.
And you mentioned before that you went to see her face-to-face November 1st to talk about some drug test results, right?
That's correct.
Did Mercedes ever take you up on that suggestion or service you were providing as far as inpatient treatment?
She said that she would think about it and made her decision.
How many months after November were you asking her to go to inpatient?
November until December when the new intake came in.
And you mentioned a new intake. What was that about?
We received a new intake stating that Mercedes and the children were with the biological father, Christopher Ramirez, and that they were pulled over by law enforcement and methamphetamine was found on the father.
Did Mercedes get arrested at that time?
No, Mercedes did not get arrested.
And an investigator was assigned to investigate that. Is that right?
That's correct.
Remember the name of that investigator?
Amy Harrelson.
And do you remember what time frame that intake came in?
It was December 6th or 7th.
Did you address with Mercedes, that particular intake at all?
I did not.
And, why not?
It was open to investigations, so investigations addressed it, and a courtesy worker with FBSS was present during that.
Do you know who that courtesy worker was?
Gia Hamilton.
And that all happened shortly around Miss Hopkins passing, is that right?
About a month after.
Did you change your services and the things you were providing through Family Base after that intake?
Did I change the services? There wasn't really time to change the services. The intake came in and the removal occurred.
And were you part of the removal at all?
In a way, yes.
And when you say in a way, what role did you take in that removal?
The affidavit and placement of the children.
And can you explain to us why you, as the department workers, was the one that filled out the affidavit?
I was named the primary worker out of the FBSS stage.
And were you part of staffings and talking about what was going on with Mercedes to make the decision for removal?
Yes,
And you, that's why you're here with us today, is that right?
correct.
Can you tell me where you got the information that you included in your affidavit?
And speaking with the investigation worker and the family-based worker, as well as the supervisors overseeing the case.
And as the primary worker, are you responsible for those things being documented in the CPS system?
Yes,
And what's that CPS system called?
it's called Impact.
And did you review those things and make sure your information that you had was accurate?
Yes,
And is that what you base this affidavit on?
yes,
Judge, and you're asking the department to be named the temporary managing conservator of the children today, is that right?
yes.
Why do you think that's necessary in this case?
In these cases or this case particular? Okay. Due to the ongoing concerns of substance use throughout the case, starting in July, as recent as the end of October, we had safety measures put in place to ensure the safety of the children, which included Mercedes being supervised with the children by all times by her mother, who she was residing with. And that safety plan was broken. Mercedes was alone with the children, and they were in a vehicle where methamphetamine was found by law enforcement.
And Texas Family First, is that a voluntary program?
It has to be court ordered.
But the parents have to agree to participate in that, is that right?
Correct.
Do you remember the last court hearing being around that December timeframe?
I believe it was in November, almost a month prior.
If I told you that there was a hearing November 14th, that's the one you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall at all what the court's order says about Miss Cifuentes's participation?
That she is ordered to participate in the TFF program as well as the counseling through FBSS, and ordered as well to follow the safety plan put in place.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
When was the last time that you requested that Mercedes take a drug test?
I believe it was November 28th.
Okay. And did she participate in that drug test?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And in fact, in your affidavit, you have listed all the drug tests that have been requested either by yourself or your predecessors on this case. Does that sound fair?
Yes, that's correct.
And you would agree with me that there hasn't been a positive drug test by Mercedes given since 10/24/23.
10/25, but yes, ma'am.
Of 10/25, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that since the removal of her children, we were in court last time And neither you nor your attorney asked for a drug test then.
That's correct.
Do you think that that information would be important to the court to determine whether or not there was an immediate danger of drug use by Ms. Fuentes?
Yes.
Did you speak to the officer who was involved in pulling over Mr. Ramirez and on December, I think you said 8th?
No, I did not speak with the officer.
Did you read a report?
I did not receive a report, no.
So the information that you received regarding being pulled over and that incident, who does that information come from?
It came from an intake received by Statewide Intake.
And so did you take any other efforts to determine whether or not that paragraph regarding December 7th of 2023 was true?
There was a police report incident listed and it was requested from the police department.
And did you receive that?
I did not receive that.
Well, would you agree with me that the methamphetamine that was found on December 7th was in Mr. Ramirez's sock?
To my knowledge, yes.
Well, you put it in your affidavit and you swore that that was what the intake said.
Yes,
correct?
that is what the intake stated.
And you also understand that the children were released to Mercedes on that date. And there's a specific sentence in your affidavit that everyone in the vehicle appeared to be sober and the children were released to Mercedes care.
Yes, that was reported in the intake.
How old were these children?
They're 3 and 11 months, almost 1.
And after December 7th, were the children drug tested?
No,
Were they taken to a doctor?
they were taken to a doctor for a 3-day medical appointment.
And at that 3-day medical appointment, you would agree with me that those children were healthy and there were no concerns.
Correct.
When was the last time that you were present in Mercedes' home?
November 1st, 2023.
And you would agree with me that at that time, you saw no signs of drug use in that home?
I would agree with that.
Why was the decision made not to drug test these children if the concern was Mercedes using drugs in the presence of her children?
That would have been up to the pediatrician to decide to drug test.
Do you know whether or not you or any of your counterparts with CPS shared that information with the pediatrician?
It was shared with foster placement to relay to the pediatrician when they went for their appointment.
And do you know if that was done?
It was not listed in their medical notes that they were drug tested at their appointment, no.
All right. Let's go back, and you keep talking about a safety plan or safety measures. And I made a specific request that I receive any documentation that you had done in this case, considering the way that you're having to testify. Were you the one who prepared the safety plan that you allege is in place in this case?
No.
Who prepared it?
Investigations prepared the initial one and Diana Hopkins prepared the subsequent one.
At this time, do you have available to you or through your attorney the safety plan?
I believe my attorney may have it.
When was the last time that you reviewed it?
In December.
Okay, when in December?
When we received the additional intake.
Do you know if you provided that to your attorney? Do you have it available in front of you, Ms. Meeker?
I have the last safety plan that was put in place by Diana Hopkins in my email somewhere.
Okay. Would you agree with me that normally safety plans are limited in duration?
Yes.
And you would also agree with me that it's part of being a family-based safety services worker that is your responsibility to review that safety plan to be sure that it is up to date.
Yes.
Okay. The initial safety plan that was in place for investigations, that safety plan, well, let me go back. Is there 3 safety plans in this case, or is there just 2?
I believe there's just 2.
And when you refer to one regarding investigations, is that one from the initial investigation from like August or July of 23?
Yes, that was the initial plan that was put in place.
And then do you know what happened to that safety plan? Did it expire, or do you know why Diana did another one?
Another one was done because it switched from investigations to family-based.
And who would have signed that safety plan?
Mercedes and Maria, the grandmother.
Okay. And then the second safety plan, that's the one that you think that Ms. Hopkins, or you know that Ms. Hopkins did.
That's correct.
And who signed that one?
Mercedes and Maria.
And what are the dates on that safety plan?
It was implemented, I believe, September 1st to be reviewed, and any changes would have been made every 30 days if necessary.
And did that take place?
No changes were necessary. No, it remained the same.
When you took over the case from Diana, did you ever meet with Maria?
I met with them November 1st at the home, Maria and the children, and then Mercedes at work.
And as part of that, are you representing this court that you went over the terms of the safety plan and what was expected of Mercedes and Maria?
I don't know that I specifically went over the terms with it. I went for a usual home visit to discuss the case.
I don't know that we're going to finish today, but is there any way that I can get a copy of the safety plan that you allege that was in place from, I think you're saying September until now?
Yes, I can find that and get a copy to you.
Okay. Did you ever, not the investigators, I'm asking you now about your personal knowledge. Did you ever go over that safety plan at any time with Maria? I asked you about whether or not you saw them in person, but did you go over it with her over the phone or any other time?
We did have conversations about it, yes.
Okay. When?
On October, after I got the positive test that she took on October 25th, I called Mercedes to discuss it. I also called Maria to discuss it and asked her how things were going in the home and how the safety plan was going, and confirmed that she was continuing to supervise Mercedes.
Okay. And tell me exactly what you shared as regards to ensuring that the safety plan was abided by. Was it simply that Mercedes was not to be unsupervised with the children?
Yes.
Did you ever personally speak to the daycare?
Yes.
When?
On November 28th. Let me grab the exact date. November 27th.
Was that by phone or in person?
That was in person.
Did you provide them a copy of the safety plan?
I personally did not know.
You are aware that my client is pregnant.
I am.
And when was the last time that you spoke to any doctor or anybody that was providing her prenatal care?
I have not spoken to a doctor that has been providing prenatal care to Mercedes.
After the positive drug test on October 25th of 2023, did you request that Mercedes complete another OSAR assessment?
No.
Based off of your training and experience, is sobriety a one time and done process for parents?
No.
Is relapse part of recovery?
Yes,
Is relapse particularly part of recovery when you have a client or a person who has a long history of drug use based off of trauma?
yes,
Are you aware of how long Mercedes has used methamphetamine?
yes.
How long?
Since she was 16 or 17.
And are you also aware from reviewing the file that that is based off of trauma?
Yes,
In your affidavit that you prepared for the emergency removal, one of the, I guess, kind of objectives is that this affidavit is supposed to detail the important facts when you have had contact with Mercedes. Does that sound like a fair statement?
yes.
Okay. And how often are you required to make contact with Mercedes as the FBSS worker?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay. And that can be in person or by phone?
In person.
And if I were to look at your contact with Mercedes in November, when would you have made those two contacts?
I made contact personally on November 1st. I attempted contact with her on the 27th. I left a card at the home. I saw the children on that date at the daycare.
And then in December, that's when you closed your FBSS case based off.
It's still open, but yes, contact was made with her on December 8th by investigations.
And I guess that's part of what I'm confused about is the FBSS case still open or is it closed?
It's still open, as well as the conservatorship stage. They're open concurrently or at the same time.
And during this time that FBS is open, are you supposed to be providing services to Mercedes?
She is still attending counseling with Dr. or Mr. Gatlin.
How do you know that?
I received a report from him after the date of removal that she attended a counseling session with him.
And when do you believe the last time that she saw Dr. Gatlin was?
It was shortly after the first hearing on December 19th. I don't have the exact date on me.
Did you make it clear to Mercedes that after the children were removed from her care, that she was able to continue to complete services?
I did not speak with her after that. We had Gia Hamilton and the investigator.
I know I covered this before, but even though your FBS case is still open, there's been no additional request for a drug test of Mercedes.
Not from me, no.
Well, from anybody, correct?
It was directed for investigations to send her at the time of the new intake.
What does that even mean?
Part of the staffing for the new intake was for investigations and the courtesy worker to ask Mercedes to submit to a drug test when contact was made.
And do your records reflect that that was done?
I don't know if that was done. I was not there.
Have you received any additional drug test results?
I have not, no, ma'am.
And would you, as still the active FBS worker and having access to impact?
Yes, I would have had access to any results that were returned, yes.
So as you sit here today as the FBS worker, you have no new information regarding a positive drug test since October of 2023.
I do not.
Pass the witness.
I don't have any questions. Absolutely.
Ms. Ward?
Just a couple of follow-ups. It would methamphetamines be in the vicinity of two children be a good thing or bad thing?
Bad thing.
And that safety plan that was in place, do you designate who is the supervisor in a safety plan?
Yes.
Who was supposed to be supervising Mercedes at all times?
Her mother, Maria Moreno.
Did there ever become a change or the ability for Christopher Cifuentes to be the supervisor?
No.
And I said Cifuentes, Christopher Ramirez.
Ramirez. No, that was not an option.
And so that December 7th date of 2023, is that a problem in this case?
Yes.
Tell me why?
The safety plan was not being followed at that time.
And then I just want to make sure there was a question about you taking over the case after Diana, but it's been assigned to you primarily the whole time she's been with Family Base.
That's correct.
And then you've had different courtesy workers. Is that right?
Yes, that would, yeah, that worked Terry County.
And then Ms. Morrison asked you some really good questions about sobriety and relapse being part of that.
Mhm.
How do you handle knowing someone's used drugs for a long time, had trauma? What's in place to make sure the kids are safe?
Safety plans to ensure that there's another party present until there's no longer a concern of substance use.
And that was put in place in this case, is that right?
That's correct.
I'll pass the witness. I'd like to see it.
Ms. Morrison?
I would love to see this safety plan, Your Honor. I've made repeated requests for it. And I'll have no further questions at this time, but I would reserve her once I'm able to review that paperwork.
Ms. Ward, how long is it going to take to get your hands on the safety plan?
I think we can have it today. And I don't know if Ms. Meeker can find it by email. I don't have access to it.
May I take a moment to look through my email and email it to Ms. Ward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Morrison, are we ready?
I have one and I'm waiting on the other one.
Oh. Mind you, ma'am, are still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms.
Okay.
Morrison.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Chrissy, or Ms. Meeker, let me make sure that I understand everything that Deidre asked you. Even though there have been other courtesy workers, you are the primary worker and you're the one that is in charge, for lack of a better phrase. That sound fair?
Yes, that sounds fair.
Okay. And so if I understood your testimony, you would be the one responsible for the safety plans, right?
Correct.
Okay. So have you had the opportunity to review that there are two safety plans in this case, one that was prepared 9/23 of 23, and then a second one prepared 10/25 of 23?
Yes.
And do you have access to those?
I have access to the one right now from 9/7.
Were you aware that there was a second safety plan that was signed on 10/25 of 23?
I'm aware that Diana would occasionally update the plans. Yes.
Are you, if a placement or somebody who was responsible for supervision had questions regarding the safety plan, who would they call?
They could call me or the courtesy worker, either one.
Is your information at the bottom of the most current safety plan?
I don't have that one on me. I did not physically implement that plan.
Who's Mel Ayala?
That is the Terry County Family-Based Supervisor.
And then we have Diana Hopkins, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have the 9-7 safety plan in front of you?
I have the 9-7, yes.
Hold on a minute. It's 9. How many pages are there?
There's supposed to be 3. I only have on my document the first 2 pages, the main page and the signed page on the back.
What is the part where it says who to call if you have questions or you have issues?
I'm not seeing that on the copy that I have. It looks like whatever was scanned in by Ms. Hopkins, it didn't have the 3rd page.
Then I just want to be sure that I understand your prior testimony in relation to the safety plans that we found. Is the one that Ms. Steins found dated 10/25 of 23? You don't have access to that one, right?
I don't have that one.
Is that just because of where you are testifying, or you've never seen it?
I don't have it with me where I'm testifying. I don't know if it ever made it into our one case system from Ms. Hopkins.
So as you sit here today, and I believe that you testified that you went over a safety plan with Maria after the positive drug test in October, what safety plan was that?
I didn't go over a physical safety plan with her. We discussed how the safety plan was going and ensured that she was still supervising Mercedes.
And the terms of the supervision, according to the safety plan, are that Mercedes will be within eyeshot and hearing range of Maria. She's in the presence of the children, correct?
That's correct.
Where does it tell her what to do if she begins having problems with or questions about Mercedes following that safety plan? Who's she supposed to call? Where does it say that?
It would have been on page 3 where it says who to contact, and Diana put her information and her supervisor's information on that.
Mr. Miller,
I don't have any questions, Judge.
Ms. Ward,
Any additional perk?
any objection to Ms. Meeker being free to go?
No, Your Honor.
No.
All right, Ms. Meeker, you're free to go, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to end the Zoom part of this meeting because I think the rest of us are here in person. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me have the parties identified.
Yes, Your Honor. Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Department also appearing by and through caseworker Cody Gardner and Supervisor Mitch Cogdill. We're present and ready to proceed.
Tim Shaw representing the mother.
Sarah Hudman
Madam
representing, sorry, what? Sarah Hudman representing Father Jared Witherspoon, and he is currently trying to connect to the audio. He's a gentleman in the bailiff uniform.
Matt Marr representing Sean Lang. I'm present and ready. I don't see my client in the virtual courtroom.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell, who did you tell me the worker was?
Caseworker should be Cody Gardner. And the supervisor should be Todd Cogdill. In both of those cases is what I reflect.
Judge, unfortunately, my client is due in court here in about 10 minutes. So, but I have spoken to him. So if Todd or Cody's not available, then Mr. Witherspoon may have to be excused.
That'd be fine. Todd is saying that he can't hear anything. Okay.
I understand CPS I got a lot of text yesterday of the workers that couldn't get in, Your Honor. I understand their pain. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Gardner, tell me about children and Brielle they currently placed.
Brielle is currently placed in High Plain Children's Home in Amarillo. She's doing really well right now. She's been doing amazing at school. She's A's and B's student, gotten really involved in the band there, playing percussion. Last meeting I had with her, she had lost her first chair, but was working to get back in to be first chair for the percussion. She thought she was going to end up having a C in science, but got that grade back up to a B, and just doing really well. Arise is placed at Flyer in Leveland. He's doing really well at the beginning of the school year. We thought that he might be a little bit behind, but I was talking with him at this last meeting that I had with him, and they said that he's actually performing on target, doing really well in his classes. He's made some friends there and is, by all accounts, doing really well at that placement. And then A Nation, this was his first year of school. He's really liking it right now. He's liked math so far and is really into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at this time. Really into it. Always asks me about it every time I see him. The only thing with him right now is we did just get a discharge notice this last month due to him having night terrors, and we are currently looking for a placement for him to move to. Yesterday, I sent his information to High Plains Children's Home in the hope that we could possibly get him moved there so that he'd be close to his sister, but they have not responded back with a yay or an nay yet.
Okay, can you explain to me maybe why we would have a discharge notice for nightmares, something that the child doesn't really have any control over? That doesn't make any sense
Just
to me.
lost audio again.
You can't hear us?
We're
Nope.
not
Hear
getting
me,
it.
Todd?
Gary, can I call when you put me on speaker?
I sure can.
All right, while he's doing that, Mr. Witherspoon, can you unmute yourself for me?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay, just hang on. She's not to talk to Mr. Witherspoon. Hang on.
Mr. Witherspoon, do you have any concerns regarding Brielle?
At first, I did. When I spoke with Mr. Gardner, previously, I did. I thought her grades were down. And so that was my only thing. And I've also had concerns about trying to get a Zoom meeting with her. I haven't been able to come to terms with her foster parents right now. I feel like it's either their way or no way right now. And so that's just really my only concerns.
Okay, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. I know you're supposed to be in court and I don't want to hold you up. I know Ms. Hudman can advocate for you. If you need to go, I understand, and I won't hold that against you. You're welcome to stay if you wish. It's up to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gardner, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gardner, tell me, do we have any sort of medical concerns with any of the children?
No, ma'am, not at this time. Brielle just got her wisdom teeth removed in November. She had a dry socket from it for a little bit there, but she got over it really quickly. But that was the last thing anybody's really had any medical problems with them.
Okay, are any of the children on any medications?
Last time I talked to Brielle, they were just about to start getting her on birth control, but they hadn't started it yet, and I haven't got the information as to what medication that is yet from her caregivers.
All right, the boys are healthy and no medications needed for them?
Yes, ma'am, they are very healthy, no medications. Arise hasn't had an illness in months. A Nation did have strep throat back in November, but he got over it really quickly.
Okay. Talk to me, if you can. First of all, you talked about A Nation having nightmares. Explain to the court why we would need a discharge from a foster home based on something that the child doesn't have any control over.
From what I was told, they've been happening every night about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's not wanting to go back to sleep. So they've been put in a discharge notice based on that because they're not able to sleep, and the other foster children in the home are not able to sleep through the night.
Okay, what are we doing to address the nightmares?
We are attempting to get him in with counseling right now. Have not found anybody yet between us and Arrow. We've been looking, and beyond that, just talking to them. And I had talked to the foster family there, and they said that he had done okay for a little bit, and then early December that he had started back up with his nightmares, saying that he thought somebody was coming to get him, and he would get up and wander around the house, and then they would find him. Usually he would end up coming to the foster parents' bed and talking to them about 1:30.
All right, are there any other behavior concerns from a nation?
No, ma'am. That is the only one at this moment.
Okay. Would it be possible to try to find another foster home for him that would be more accommodating, even with the nightmare issue?
Yes, ma'am. We're looking right now currently between that, and we're just also looking at Pipeline Children's Home in the hope that being closer to his sister would help with it as well.
Yeah, I don't see that we would need an RTC for that kind of issue. I would hope that we would be able to find a family-like setting for a nation for an issue like that. And we've got a lot of feedback, so if I can fix that somehow, please let me know, or please do it. Okay, Arias. Why is Arias in an RTC and not a foster home?
We've been looking for the past few months, ma'am, trying to get him into a foster placement to get him out of the RTC, and we haven't found anywhere with an opening for him yet. We've been looking since the last hearing that we had for this family. We're having problems just because he does have a history, or one of the reasons he was sent to the RC to begin with was his behaviors, and one of them was animal cruelty. And I think that is scaring people off from wanting to take him into their home, especially if they have pets.
Okay, is Arias in therapy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are we addressing some of those past behaviors?
Yes, ma'am. They say he's doing really good, and I've been telling people that, and even put in his most recent comment that they haven't had any more issues with him or even him talking about animal cruelty or anything like in that regard anymore, but we still haven't had any luck yet.
All right. Are we looking at any relatives for any of the 3 children? Do we have any home study spending? Do we have any placement options?
We have home studies pending for Anastasia Gibson and Tammy, remember her last name. And then I did see Miss Blackwell this morning in jail, and she gave me another name to look into for a possible placement, and I'm having to put together the background checks and get everything sent in for a home study for her right now. For a Crystal Navarrete.
Okay, do we have any home studies that we've started?
Yes, ma'am. We just haven't got them back for Anastasia Gibson and Tammy.
Okay. Miss Gibson, would that be a placement for all 3?
No, ma'am. That would be for Arise and a Nation.
Okay, do we have any placement options in home studies that are pending for Brielle?
We were looking at possibly placing her with Mr. Witherspoon, Washington.
Okay.
He's open to that, and he's waiting to hear back from Brielle as to whether or not she's open to that or she's comfortable being where she's at, seeing how she started to make friends and really fit in at the school there.
All right, let's talk about, while we have Mr. Witherspoon here, let's talk about Mr. Witherspoon's progress and services.
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all have, by chance, YouTube going somewhere in the office there? If anybody in the office has YouTube going, turn that off. That might help. But you've got a really bad feedback problem, so it's kind of hard to hear you.
We don't have anyone else in the office with us. We're in a private office, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't know what the issue is. Let's do the best we can with it. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Gardner, and tell me about Mr. Witherspoon's progress and services.
We don't have any progress on his services yet. We've had trouble serving him as he moved now in the last hearing.
Hold on. Mr. Mitchell, you might hang up the phone. That might be the issue.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, try that, Mr. Gardner.
Your Honor, we were on the phone with him because we do not have audio on the computer.
All right, we'll call him again.
And mute his deal. That might help, because I think that's where the feedback's coming from, is him talking through the phone and through the speaker.
I was going to say that we could mute Mr. Mitchell.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Gardner.
Yes, ma'am. We haven't had any services started with Mr. Witherspoon yet. Like I had said, we had some trouble getting him served and getting his family plan sent to him as he changed addresses. And we need to get him to sign that, and then we can get him started on his parenting classes and family counseling. The visits that we've been trying to set up, we've had a lot of back and forth as to when and who is available. The last time I talked to him 2 weeks ago, he said that he was available on Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Our time, since there's the time difference between here and Washington. And I've been trying to get that set up because the FSW that we had on it, that was her last week with us. So I've been taking over trying to get that set up now between them and High Plains Children's Home.
What are the concerns with Mr. Witherspoon?
Just the time apart that they've had since he hasn't been in her life for the last few years. We want to make sure that those bonds are mended and there's no resentment there before she moves back into the home with him.
Has Brielle been in therapy?
Yes, ma'am. She goes every 2 weeks in Amarillo.
We addressed with Brielle's therapist her relationship with Mr. Witherspoon.
Yes, ma'am. That, and then trying to get her to break out of her shell. She's been very shy and reserved and not really talking to any people at first. So we've been trying to work on both of those with her.
Okay. When was the last time Mr. Witherspoon was regularly involved with Brielle?
What was that?
Could you repeat that, Your Honor? You broke up a little.
When was the last time Mr. Witherspoon was regularly involved with Brielle in her life?
5 years.
5 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And all that the department is asking him to do is parenting?
Parenting and family counseling, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hudman?
Yes, Judge. I will endeavor to be as tactful as I can. When this case began, I remember it was August because I was in Portland. When this case began in August, we reunited, at least on Zoom and on the telephone, this child with her father, who had been not with her father for approximately 5 years. And the agreement for TMC was that with regular Zoom conversations, that the full expectation was that this child would be returned to her father by Thanksgiving, Christmas at the latest. And we had the status hearing in September. And since that time, the department, St. Francis has had almost zero communication with Mr. Witherspoon, despite the fact that he has updated them with his address, despite the fact that his phone number has not changed since the first time I talked to him in August. He had a very nice Zoom meeting with his child in August. He might have had 2 of them in August. And then inexplicably, because this is apparently not being not a priority for St. Francis, but has not been facilitated to have these Zooms. And so they have turned it over to the foster parents, to High Plains Children's Home, to make sure it works with their schedule. He has been trying to work with them and nothing seems to work. The last time that he was able to finally get a time was around Thanksgiving, and he was denied his visitation because even though it was mentioned a bit ago that she is a stellar student and getting A's and B's in school, that she would not be allowed to visit because she was failing a class. My client said that's not a reason not to have a visit with her father. And there was a visitation monitor or something. It was not Mr. Gardner. And he asked her, he talked with the liaison, and they said, well, there's nothing really we can do. And I have been asking since December 20th. I sent an email, and I recognize that was right before Christmas. I sent an email to Gary, to Todd, and to Cody asking about an update on this case. Why are we still at this level in this case? I have not received an update on, Gary said that he would look into it. I have not received an update from St. Francis. Mr. Witherspoon has never seen his plan of service. The plan of service that I got talked about local facilities for parenting. And we discussed with them at the status hearing in September how obviously he lives in Washington State, is not a the reason for the removal. He's a non-offending parent, and nothing has been done. Last week, either in preparation for this hearing or because I had sent several emails, I don't know which, Mr. Gardner was able to get in contact with Mr. Witherspoon with the same phone number that Mr. Witherspoon has had for at least 6 months, possibly 6 years. I don't know. I don't know why counseling hasn't been set up. I don't know why visitations aren't set up. I don't know why this child hasn't had a visit over the Christmas holidays with her father. I don't know, does this child feel like she had a great couple of visits in August and then her father abandoned her and she may be less receptive? I don't know, but somebody's not doing their job.
Mr. Mitchell? We're here for a permanency hearing, and I'm required to place this child with her dad unless you can show me or provide any evidence today that there is a danger in doing so. What is the danger in placing Brielle with her dad today?
I am not aware of any danger, Your Honor. If I might ask Mr. Cogdill that question, Cog, do you see any danger in placing the child today?
Not with Mr. Witherspoon, no.
Judge, my client would like a placement hearing if we're going to do any kind of placement.
I don't have discretion. I mean, the statute's pretty clear. I've got to place with a parent unless the department can provide me any sort of evidence that there's a danger in doing so.
And for the record, then my client objects to the placement and would like a placement hearing. Thank you.
And Judge, I do want to say that my client, while he wants his child with him, does want to make sure it is done in a way that the child is comfortable with. And while I absolutely agree there is no danger whatsoever with Mr. Witherspoon, and I do believe she should be returned to him,
all right, I'll set it for a placement hearing January the 22nd at 9. Unless the parties come to an agreement before then. January 22nd at 9.
Thank you, Judge.
And I will say that I'm really disappointed that the parties couldn't get together and try to make this move if it were going to be appropriate during the Christmas break. That would have been a really obvious time to make a placement change. But now we've started school again, and that doesn't make any sense, guys. All right. Is there anything else with respect to with respect to Brielle? Tell me about Mom's progress.
We just got Mom to sign her family plan today. It's today was the first time I was able to see her face to face and not play phone tag with her. She is in jail at East March 27th, she said, unless you get personal recognizance bond before that. But she said that she's working parenting classes while she's incarcerated at this time. And she's also doing counseling while she's in there. And she would like to start up once she gets out with her other services. She has housing possibly set up through Section 8. Everything was coming together right before she got booked and brought in. So she doesn't know where it stands right now at this moment.
Mr. Shaw, anything to add with respect to Ms. Blackwell's participation?
No, Your Honor, she's doing what she can in jail. Like indicated, we have a PNC in March. So hopefully she'll find out what's going on.
Placement hearing on Brielle, January 22nd at 9 by Zoom. Okay, we'll be adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department also appears by and through St. Francis Ministries case worker Kristen Ano and Supervisor Amanda Roberts, present and ready to proceed.
Linda Dennis, I'm on behalf of Elias. I'm filing for intervener.
Sarah Hudman, attorney ad litem for the child.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. Did y'all hear my announcement? I'm sorry.
No.
Alicia Walker present with Elias Ramirez father. He is on the line.
Okay. Tell me about Elias Jr. Where is Elias Jr. placed?
He's placed in a fictive kin home right now in Lubbock, Texas. He's been placed there since removal. He has known them since he was born. He's doing really well in placement right now. He does go to daycare throughout the week, so he interacts with other kids his age. He's eating really well. He's not picky. He loves fried chicken right off the bone. He's on milk right now. We got off of formula, so we're drinking milk. He's got a new toddler bed that we got him. I believe I got it for him about 2 weeks ago. So he's out of the crib. He's in a toddler bed of his own. He's running around. He's overall a really happy kid. There's no issues. He did have a viral infection about 2 weeks ago, but we took him to get antibiotics and that cleared up. There's no major medical concerns. Overall, he's doing really well in placement. He's happy and healthy.
All right, very good. Ms. Hudman, any concerns with Elias Jr.?
No, Your Honor, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez, do you have any concerns regarding Elias Jr.?
No, ma'am, I don't. I believe that he's doing pretty well where he's at.
Okay, you are happy with the current placement?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor, I am.
All right, Ms. Dennis, do you have any concerns regarding Elias Jr.?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Just that my nephew is, his mother recently passed away and stuff like that. My concern is just with my other nephew that I do have. I have custody of the brother of baby Elias. My concern is just before that there was him throwing a grill at my nephew, my other nephew, my older nephew, and stuff like that. I'm just worried about the safety of my nephew, like if he's gonna, be okay. Is he and as far as I'm concerned, my family doesn't get to see him like we should, like we've been before all of this started. My concern really is that my family just doesn't get to see him, and I feel like he would be better off with actual family, like me, his brother. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I do think there's been an issue that Elias has addressed with me about some conflict with the grandparents. I don't know if he could speak more to that.
I can also. I do have the issue with, I guess, her mom, and the issue that brought to me as well is when Gerlinda went to visit him this past few weeks. She smelled like liquor. I don't know if it was her mom, or anyone else. So if her concern is about that, I don't see why she would go up to visit him smelling like alcohol or whoever it was. So I feel like he is in good hands where he's at now, if that makes sense. I'm doing everything possible to get him back in order. So there shouldn't be anything that confines me from not getting him back or where he's at now.
Mr. Mitchell, Ms. Hudman, do we have formal pleadings from Ms. Dennis in this case so far?
Yes,
Not
Your
to
Honor.
my knowledge.
I saw formal pleadings. I didn't write down the date. But yes, ma'am, I believe there were some pleadings, and then there was what I thought conformed to the pleadings for an intervener. It may have been styled incorrectly. I know there was one thing she styled as a motion to have this mediated, but in my further search, I do believe that I saw proper filings in intervention.
Okay.
Looking it up right now, Judge.
Okay. Let's talk about Mr. Ramirez's progress and services.
He's doing really well. Since the beginning of the case, he was able to get a house of his own. He has been he's been going to his outpatient drug classes. He does that twice a week. He's in counseling right now with Holly from Choices. We've had all of his UAs every month are negative. We had one positive hair strand in October. But overall, he's doing everything. He did his psychological, he's done his OSAR, he's done everything that St. Francis has asked him to do. And I see him monthly. I'm in constant contact with him. So right now he's doing really well with his services.
The levels on the hair strand, did they go down?
They have been down, yes, ma'am. From the very beginning, when he took it in August, the one in October was down.
Okay. Okay. Good. Visitation, how is that going with Mr. Ramirez?
It's going well. It was actually approved recently for visitation to be in the kinship home, supervised by the kinship caregiver, and he has visitation twice a week now.
All right. And do we have any notes from Holly on how he is doing in therapy?
Yes, I actually spoke to Holly on the phone yesterday. He's doing really well. She stated that he is opening up about his previous drug use and the concerns that drug use around his child, and that he's open to therapy, and she had no concerns right now with him. He had missed one appointment. The previous appointment he did miss due to work. He was working out of town, but he has attended every other scheduled appointment.
Okay. Good. All right. Tell me about the visits with the maternal side of the family.
They are held at Choices Counseling. It's the last 2 Saturdays of the month. They are supervised by Choices Counseling. They go on for 2 hours from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Okay. What do the notes reflect about how those visits go?
At first, it was a little hectic due to the current caregivers and the maternal family. They don't get along. They were arguing. There were some comments said back and forth. I had gotten contact with Choices. We kind of mediated it. They talked about it. And so far, the notes now are, they're a little bit better. There still are some rude comments going back and forth, I believe, between the two families. Mainly, I feel like they just don't get along. But the visits themselves are good. Jerlinda brings snacks. She brings toys for Elias to play with. There's no issues during the actual visit. It's kind of the handoff before the visit that we've been having issues with.
Do we think maybe Holly would be able to or be willing to have a therapy session with Mr. Ramirez and the maternal side of the family about how maybe it would be best to get along?
I can definitely bring that up.
For this little boy?
I can definitely bring that up to her, ma'am.
I hear a lot of conflict and dissension between the two sides of the family just in this hearing. And it's going to be problematic for Elias going forward, regardless of what happens. And I certainly want to address it while we can with the department's help. While we have a therapist working with Dad, a therapist who's happy with Dad's work in this case and what he's doing, let's give it a shot and see if it helps. I think it also might help in how we craft a final order in this case.
Yes, ma'am. I will bring it up to her, and I can see. I'm sure she'd be open to it because Elias has done good. So hopefully Elias would be open to it as well.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think it's worth it for this little guy to at least try to get the maternal and the paternal side of the family to work together in a therapy session and see if we can go forward with some sort of agreement about how to get along as best we can for the happiness of this little boy. As long as Mr. Ramirez and Miss Dennis and the other folks in the family are willing to do it. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Judge. I have had a chance to look up, and I think I figured out what the deal was. I do show that Miss Dennis filed an intervention on November 28th. She filed it pro se, and it's counterfiled, and she is not in the e-filing system, and so it was not sent to me. And I didn't look in the court's file, but I also happened to note that in the permanency report, she's not she hadn't been added to the service contacts. So she didn't get the permanency report either. So I think it's a pro se issue. Not disparaging anybody. I just think that's where the disconnect over whether or not she is a party or not. But I do show that she filed a petition and intervention along with a number of other things on or about November 28th.
Your Honor, if I might add what Sarah says, that's correct. That's where I was talking about earlier. It was actually the department contacted me late yesterday and asked if she had filed an interpleading action because it really didn't show. Nobody was getting email, and I went to the court file and saw those filings just late yesterday afternoon.
Okay. Let's make sure St. Francis sends the reports to Ms. Dennis going forward.
Could you send me what you were able to pull just now on those filings?
I will, Alicia.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to set this for another permanency hearing and a final hearing, May the 9th at 9. I certainly think a mediation or a settlement conference, let's try a settlement conference first, between now and then would be a good idea. But final hearing and permanency hearing, May the 9th at 9. Thank y'all.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Department represented as well through St. Francis Ministries caseworker Veronica Ramirez and Supervisor Todd Cogdill, present and ready to proceed. Hopefully, St. Francis has got their problem fixed.
Lindsay Murray on behalf of Nicole Clark, who's also present. We're present and ready.
Tim Shaw representing the father.
Alright. I'm having trouble with my camera. Jared Miller, turn your volume for the children.
Okay, tell me about the children. Where are they placed? Sounds real muddled.
Do you want to have them call me at my number and I'll go mute again and do it the way we did the previous case?
That's fine.
Can you hear us now, Judge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're just gonna unplug everything. There we go.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Both children are placed with paternal Aunt Mary Cardenas, where both children are currently doing well. They adjusted well. Both children are eating and sleeping good. Avery, man, she's such a character. She has a strong bond with her sister, eating well, sleeping well, as I stated. Amani, she's starting to walk and crawl, in her walker. She walks backwards, not frontwards yet. Both current on medical and dental.
Okay. Do we have an approved home study on the aunt?
Yes, they're placed with her. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Mr. Miller, any concerns with the girls?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Murray, any concerns? Well, Ms. Clark is here. I see you. Can you unmute yourself for me, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any concerns regarding the girls?
No, they're definitely doing well. I just would like more time with them, but other than that, I think they're doing really great. I know they've had issues getting in daycare, and that's really the only other concern that I might have.
Okay. Mr. Badalis, do you have any concerns regarding the girls?
No, ma'am. Just the more time with them. I don't think 2 hours is enough throughout the week. We've been doing everything we need to do for them, and I would just like to have more time with my girls because they're too young for them and for us not to have enough time. The 2 hours that we get a week.
Okay. What is the issue with the daycare?
With the daycare, they're having trouble with getting their paperwork. Veronica knows more about it.
Yeah. Veronica, what is the issue with the daycare?
Your Honor, I've attempted to submit a daycare paperwork for both children. However, Mrs. Cardenas, we're waiting for a proof of employment that states that she works at least 32 to 40 hours weekly. And it has to be,
exactly what daycare requires, or otherwise it will get declined, and that's just where we're stuck at right now. So we're just waiting on a letter to, get mailed to Mrs. Cardenas regarding that.
Okay. All right, tell me about the parents' progress and services.
Okay, Nicole Clark, she's doing great. In parenting and in individual, and in women's group, she's almost done. She'll be done January 10th. She was living with Mr. Vidalis. However, there was an incident around New Year's. Mr. Vidalis was arrested and Mrs. Clark had to move from the residence and is now currently living with her mother. She has refrained from any criminal activity. She's been in contact with me monthly. All drug tests have been negative. She's maintained all parent-child visits, and she's doing wonderful. My concern right now is just the safety of the children. With Nicole and Mr. Vidalis, it's already a domestic case as it is, and he was arrested, due to an incident with Mrs. Clark.
Okay, the report indicated there was a domestic violence incident with police called in October. Are you telling me there was another such incident in January?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we started this case in August because of domestic violence between the parents, and we've had at least 2 domestic violence incidents with police called in the meantime?
Yes, ma'am.
So are we learning anything?
In October.
Veronica, do we feel like the parents are learning anything?
I feel like they're both engaging and they're trying to learn. However, when they're together and, maybe some kind of, when alcohol, they were drinking. I feel like when drug use or alcohol is involved, they just make bad decisions. I feel like they should maybe have more time to focus on their self as individual before reconsidering, being a couple again.
Tell me about Mr. Vidalis' progress and services.
Mr. Vidalis is doing great in individual. He participates. I get good feedback from Mr. Gatlin regarding him. He's doing good in parenting as well, and in the father program, he has passed every drug test, hair follicle as well. And he's doing wonderful when it comes to the services. He maintains the parent-child visits. He stays in contact with me. He's doing great when it comes to services.
Ms. Murray, anything on behalf of Ms. Clark?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is fully participating in services. She is working on getting her own home. There is an emergency protective order. We are going to file an application for a protective order to extend behind that. She has absolutely no intention on going back to Mr. Vidalis. Absolutely none. At this time, we would request more time with the children, and obviously, all of their contact needs to be separate. We want nothing to do with Mr. Vidalis. So we, on behalf of Ms. Clark, are requesting more visitation on our own, as much if I think that a therapist would give that recommendation. These children are young, and she's been working really hard. We understand that there was a setback in January, but she is going to take all steps to make sure that there would not be another incident and that she would be able to protect her children at all times.
Mr. Shaw, anything on behalf of Mr. Vidalis?
No, Judge, I don't see anything in August as far as the court dates. The only thing I see is in January. My client, of course, indicates that he was not the perpetrator in this, is that this was at least a mutual thing. He has no interest in going forward with this relationship if it's going to end up like this, and he gets blamed for everything. So he's doing everything he can as far as the services are concerned, and he would like to have his, as indicated, more time with the children if possible. Mr. Vidalis, do you want to address this allegation regarding August?
October.
October?
Yeah,
There was no.
the report indicated there was an incident.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
The report, the permanency report indicated there was a domestic violence incident in October where the police were called out. The report, I imagine, was filed before the New Year's. So this would be another domestic violence incident since the report was filed. 2 domestic violence incidents while the case is pending.
No, ma'am. From what I know, all I remember, the only time the police ever showed up was in August. I don't remember nothing in October, and in January, just recently, on January 1st.
Okay, well, we're talking about 8 days ago, another incident where, I mean, this is why we're here. Ms. Clark, Mr. Badalis, don't argue with me, Mr. Badalis.
I mean, Ms. Clark's the one that she.
You folks are not getting the picture. Okay, we're here because of domestic violence, and it's still happening. You can go to all the services you want to. You can check off all the boxes you'd like to. But as long as the domestic violence continues in your relationship, neither one of you are going to get these kids back. Do you both get that?
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know how to make it any more clear. And no, I'm not giving you more visitation time when you're still got these incidents going on as early or as late as January the 1st, 8 days ago. You people aren't getting the picture. So no, we're not getting more time. And we got the department in St. Francis saying these parents are doing wonderful. No, they're not. I'm going to set another final hearing and a future permanency hearing, May the 9th at 9. Anything else? All right, we'll be adjourned. I'll be back for the 3 o'clock.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department appearing by Megan Millen and Melissa Speed, I believe.
Yes, we're here.
Your Honor, Janet Clift-Williams, I'm the attorney ad litem for the children, but I do not see Craig Johnston.
Right. Mr. Johnston sent me a message indicating he was traveling today. He was going to try to get on, but had good things to say about his client. So let's talk about the parents, how they're doing in services this month.
Things have been going well. Dominic had another negative UA this month about last week. They continue to do the TFF program. I know they were sick last week, so they kind of had to reschedule some things, but they've been doing great with that. They continue to do their own counseling. And everything's just going well. There's no concerns with Jane or anything like that.
Okay. As far as the department is concerned, are there any services that the parents have needed to do that they haven't started?
No, they're doing everything.
Okay, very good. And do we have somebody from the family-centered treatment program here to talk?
I believe Jaylee Reynolds will be on for James.
Yes, James is with a family right now. He did send me an email of what he wanted to say. He just said that the family is currently thriving in phase 3 of treatment. They're adapting to healthier communication and coping mechanisms. They're always open and honest in their sessions and remain positive and want to sustain a healthy family unit. And they schedule their meetings, and they have always communicated with James when they need to schedule anything or make any changes.
All right. Very good. Ms. Cliff-Williams, do you have any concerns with Jane or the family?
No, Your Honor. I believe that the parents are doing a very good job taking care of Jane. She is thriving in their home, and they seem to be doing what they need to do.
All right. And I think maybe the Reynolds are up here, maybe in the neck box.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you guys unmute yourselves for me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have anything to add as far as the progress you're making or what you're working on in services?
Basically, all I really want is to just build a positive and strong environment and family life for my daughter and make sure she has everything she needs. And I feel like these services have really taught me how to be a better father, because I came into the unknown basically, and I just feel like I have a more positive mindset for everything.
Okay. Very good, Ms. Reynolds. Do you have anything to add?
The only thing I really want to say is, even though we weren't expecting anything like this to happen, it's been a blessing in disguise, because you don't really have a kid and then know how to take care of it immediately. And I didn't realize that I needed to be educated as much as I have been, and it's helped a lot.
Okay. I love it. All right, very good. I'm proud of you folks. We need more hearings with this family.
I think they're in phase 3. So, Jaylee, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of the last phases. So we should be able to wrap up in the next month.
Yes, so we would just ask for maybe a few more weeks to get the family finished through the phases, but that only takes maybe 3 or so weeks, but they're on the right track to finish within the next month.
Okay, very good. I don't want to rush it. I've had some of these TFF cases that have ended very, very positively with parents saying very similar things to what I heard today, and then a removal happening. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm happy to take as long as we need to with the family. So I will set another review hearing February the 6th at 2. All right. Thank you. Good job to the Reynolds family. And good job to the department and the family centered treatment folks for helping this family.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Mitchell with
y'all.
the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office. On behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, the department appearing today through Ms. Vasquez, or I believe it's Ms. Vasquez, with some good news.
Sarah Hudman, attorney for the parents, present, ready.
Shanna Cliff Williams, I'm the attorney ad litem for child, Your Honor.
Okay, and the parents are here. Ms. Vasquez, how are the parents doing in services this month?
I apologize. I'm not the caseworker on this case.
You don't have to apologize for that. Let's just find the right caseworker.
There may be some confusion, Your Honor, and that is the department asked that we dismiss this case, and I believe that's already been sent to your queue. So that may be why the department hasn't appeared here today.
Okay, is there any worker in the room for this family?
There's one from St. Francis.
Is there any worker in the room that has been working with this family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me how the family has done in services.
They've completed their St. Francis portion of the FCT program. They've continued to go to their AA classes, and they've reached out to me to get more resources for those to make sure that they have safety plans set up for Erica in case anything should happen.
Okay, the last time we were here, the parents had completed all of their services, and the only thing that we were really waiting on was a relapse prevention plan. Were we able to get that done this month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, very good. And the department and the family-centered treatment folks are both happy with the dismissal today?
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Hudman?
We're quite happy about it, Judge.
Ms. Cliff Williams?
Your Honor, I'm very happy about it. However, I'm a little sad I don't get to meet with Erica and Jennifer and Robert. I've enjoyed working with this family. They've worked very hard to get their services completed. I have no doubt that they're going to be successful from here on out. Erica is thriving with her parents, and their parents have done such a good job and have been very steadfast in making sure that there are no relapses. So I just want to say I'm very proud of Jennifer and Robert for doing what they needed to do for Erica. She's a precious little girl.
All right, very good. I am very proud of you folks as well. I hope that those are happy tears because the court is going to dismiss your case today. Congratulations, folks. All right, very good. A happy hearing. The court needed that. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, the department appearing today, excuse me, by and through caseworker Samantha Ochoa and Supervisor Sarah Bustamante, present and ready to proceed.
Lindsay Murray on behalf of the mother, present and ready, who's also here.
Okay, tell me how Ms. Vasquez is doing in services this month.
Hi, my name is Alondra Mora. I'm her FCT worker. Ms. Vasquez has been doing great. Her and the family have been really consistent with implementing everything that they're learning with us. I've seen a lot of initiative coming from her. and wanting to do more for the children and making sure that they have the best support available to them. And they actually just entered Valuing Change, which is awesome. So we're really happy for them.
Is that phase 3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very good. Do we have somebody with the department present? All right, Ms. Vasquez, can you unmute yourself? Ms. Murray, anything to add on behalf of Ms. Vasquez?
I think she's done a fantastic job and has been doing a fantastic job. I don't know if we can request a dismissal, but if we can, we will. I think that she has taken off running from the very beginning and jumped on this and has really been addressing all of the concerns that brought this case in front of you. So I'm really proud of her. She's worked and has been working really hard.
Okay, another good report, Ms. Vasquez. Do you have anything to add?
Just that I'm really grateful for everybody that has helped me from the very beginning, even though we've had to change a few people and our TF ladies, but everybody that has come together to help me and to help me just gather myself together with my kids, and this time coming out, a better person, and knowing that I don't have to, co-parent with the other partner, just because that's just never going to be a good situation to co-parent with. And knowing that even though I don't have that co-parent, I do have support in the community. I have support at church. I have support with my own family. And there's always resources, whether I'm, even if I'm not on CPS or if I don't have the TF ladies, I know that, they've given me these guidelines and these support and who I can talk to. And also with my family, just being able that they know that if I need them to talk, or even if I just need them to watch my kids for a little while I go to Walmart, and, just being grateful for everybody that has helped me through this whole situation.
All right. I love it. This case, I know you're wanting a dismissal, Ms. Murray, but this case sounds similar to the last one where we're in phase 3 and maybe we need a few weeks to wrap up.
Your Honor, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. I would ask the court to go ahead and reset it, but I know the court doesn't object if the department should decide to dismiss it earlier than that date. Right. But I would like an opportunity to visit with them before we dismiss.
Yes. I will set it for another review hearing February the 6th at 2, but certainly if the parties feel comfortable with the dismissal before then, I'm happy to sign that. Okay, Ms. Vasquez, if I see you again on February 6th, I'll be happy to visit with you again about further progress in the case, because I think based on how you've done so far that I have no reason to think this won't be a successful ending and a happy hearing next time we're here. But if I don't see you again, I wish you the best of luck.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Nice job. Okay, February 6th at 2. Thank you.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I believe we have seen her on here, and Chelsea Vasquez appearing for the department as well, present and ready to proceed.
Leanne Fouts for the mother, Ariel Briones. I believe she's on Zoom.
Matt Morrow, attorney at law, present, ready, Your Honor.
Okay, I think this is just a regular order to participate case and not a TFF case, so I just need to hear from the department. Tell me how Ms. Briones is doing in services.
She's doing very well. She just finished her parenting class. She had another negative drug test this month. It was an oral drug test last week. The kids are still in counseling. She still is meeting with Voice of Hope, and she's just done very well. She's worked really hard to get the parenting classes finished, and we finally got that done yesterday. So.
Okay, and what about the counseling? Has she been released from therapy?
She's still attending the counseling sessions.
All right. Mr. Morrow, any concerns with the children?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Fouts, anything on behalf of Ms. Briones?
Not that I'm aware of, Judge. Ariel, do you have anything?
Oh, there it goes. No, I do not.
Okay, very good. We've been here since June of last year. Mr. Mitchell, do we need to continue with hearings?
I don't think so, Your Honor. I think that the department is ready to dismiss this. Chelsea may want to chime in on that to confirm.
Yes, we are wanting to dismiss the case.
Ms. Faust, you okay with that?
Absolutely. I think we talked about it last month. We just wanted her to get the parenting done. So hallelujah, Ari, you did good.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Morrow, you okay with the dismissal today?
I have no objection. I'm in agreement, Judge.
All right, I'm happy to dismiss the case today. Ms. Briones, very good job. Congratulations, ma'am. 2 really happy hearings today. We're on a roll, y'all.
Yeah. Starting the year off right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We'll be adjourned. Thank you. Good luck to you, ma'am.